A big focus, the first assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir since the abrogation of Article 370 in August 2019. It's the break of a new dawn in Jammu and Kashmir with assembly elections in the valley after 10 years. It's day one of polling with 24 constituencies going to polls today. The key faces in the fray are Iltija Mufti, Dr. Bashir Ahmed and Sunil Sharma. In fact, it's past 9 a.m. We are trying to get in touch with my colleague Nazir Masoodi, who's supposed to join us for a quick update on what the turnout has been like this morning. But we also have reactions coming in from political leaders, reactions that are being lined up for you as we speak. I'm told Nazir Masoodi is with us now. Nazir, it's past 9 a.m. Give us a sense of what the turnout has been like so far.
Well, pictures speak for themselves, and this is the election 2024 assembly election in Jammu and Kashmir. People have been waiting for since long. It is the first election in Jammu and Kashmir after abrogation of Article 370 and the J&K was stripped of its statehood. It is the first election under the Youth Union Territory system, and it is the first election which is happening after a gap of 10 years, which is the longest gap between two assembly elections in the electoral history of Jammu and Kashmir. I'm here at a place called Bello, which is in Pulwama district. You just can see the long lines, long queues. Let me go to the other side and show you this side also. Let me show this side. So kind of enthusiasm and participation since morning. And this is the kind of just participation of the people, and these people will decide the fate of 219 candidates who are in the fray for 24 assembly constituencies. And 40% of the candidates are independents, though it appears to be very high, but it's not unusual in the electoral history of Jammu and Kashmir. I remember in 2008 assembly elections, the number of independents was much higher than this. Look at this, and some of the elders, they have been waiting for their turn for so long that they have to sit here because they could not stand for so long. So that is the kind of wait they have. They have to wait for long. Look at this side. Let's pan this camera to this side. So men, women, jostling at each other and waiting for their turn to cast their vote. So this is the election people have been waiting for, because over the last more than 6 years, Jammu and Kashmir has been without any elected government, and it was run by the bureaucracy and a lieutenant governor. And regional parties have been saying it is the rule which has been thrusted on them, and they have been saying, look, hold the elections and people will decide their future and who are going to rule them. There are star candidates, for example, important, like you have Iltija Mufti from Bijbara, she is Mahbub Mufti's daughter. You have Shugan Parihar, a victim of terror, and her father and uncle have been killed during militant attacks. She is contesting as a BJP candidate from Kishtwar. And here in Rajpura constituency, you have one candidate, Ghulam Mohideen Mir, who is also a victim of terror. His father was killed by militants, and he has himself survived more than a dozen militant attacks. One of the attack was near the polling station also in 2018. So there are also candidates who are booked under UAPA anti-terror law. They are also contesting. There are also candidates who are linked with the Jamaat Islami, though it's a banned organization under UAPA since 2019. But we see the organization members are contesting, and the Jamaat has also entered into a poll alliance with Awami Ittihad Party of Engineer Rashid. So in some ways, some says it can't get murkier than this. But the fact is, this is the first election after abrogation of 370, and people would decide who are they giving thumbs up, whether they want thumbs up, give thumbs up to the abrogation of 370, or they will reject. Let me talk to young voter. First time voter hai, aapka naam kya hai?
This is my second vote. Yes.
When have you voted last?
I have already voted for the parliamentary seat.
But it is first vote in assembly election.
This is my first vote in assembly elections.
Okay. And the number of, 30% voters are below the age of 29 years, which means since the elections have happened, last assembly elections have happened in 2014, and election is happening after 10 years, which means they will be voting for the first time, even those who are 29-year-old in assembly election. Kya issues hai? What are the issues in this election?
First of all, I'm very thankful to the Honorable Supreme Court of India that we have been given a chance to participate in these assembly elections. And the issues will be that we are facing unemployment here in Kashmir. There are so many problems like in health sector, in education sector. We want employment here. That is why we are casting our vote.
Your employment, you see, is the key issue.
Yes, that is the key issue that we are facing here in Kashmir.
Are you hopeful that every party has actually promised employment in their manifesto?
We are expecting good from them, as it is already in their manifestos in every party.
Yeah, that is why you see these long queues. So, क्या मुद्दे हैं भैया?
वोट डालना है ज़रूरी, क्योंकि 2014 से जो गवर्नमेंट आई उन लोगों ने हमें बहुत प्रॉब्लम की, बीजेपी के साथ कोलेक्शन की बहुत प्रॉब्लम हुई। यहाँ 35 जो हमारा था अपना हक और जो हमारा हक था वो हमें छीन लिए। हमको बहुत परेशानी है, इधर बेरोज़गारी बहुत बड़ी है, बिजली है बहुत महंगी होगी और पानी भी नहीं है, बहुत मुद्दे इस टाइम।
So, unemployment and the issues. That is the point. You vote, they are saying nobody cares about poor, and poor needs to be taken care of. That is the sentiment here in this. You can see perhaps this is unprecedented, these scenes in elections where so many people are waiting for their turn to cast their vote. This is the celebration of democracy here in the first phase of assembly elections in Jammu and Kashmir, here in Pulwama.
As always, Nazir, thanks so much for joining us with the ground report from Pulwama and catching all the action live for us. As Nazir Masoodi is reporting, after speaking to people on the ground, unemployment, the supply of electricity and water, the poor and downtrodden needing upliftment, all these are key issues this election. Also, for further clarity, we have with us editor of the Dispatch, Zafar Chaudhry, joining us on NDTV 24/7. Also with us, National Coordinator of the Lok Niti Network, Sandeep Shastri. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for making time for us. Mr. Chaudhry, I'd like to begin with you first. This time, high voter turnout doesn't seem to be the sole marker of legitimacy as it was in the past. But as per ground reports, instead, the widespread interest and involvement in the electoral process are truly significant?
It's indeed highly significant. It's a great win for democracy because after the constitutional changes in 2019, it was widely feared that people might, get completely disenchanted with the democratic process. But earlier this year in the Lok Sabha election, the kind of participation that we saw just established the fact that people have deepened their faith in the democratic process. And I think this is a great win for the government at New Delhi as well, because they can showcase to the country and to the world that look how Kashmiri people are queuing up to the polling stations. And I'm sure, but these assembly elections, the voter turnout is going to be much higher than the Lok Sabha elections. The first round of the trend should be out in a while. And that will suggest that how people have been queuing up before the polling station. I've traveled across some of the areas in the poll-bound regions of Jammu and Kashmir, and I have seen elections over the last 25 years, but I can say that the kind of enthusiasm, the kind of excitement that I've seen in these elections, I haven't been seen before in any of the elections. Yes, studio.
Right. Mr. Shastri, let's bring you in as well. You've heard Sir saying that the enthusiasm this time is truly significant, but one of the major concerns has been, irrespective, whether the now Union Territories people show up in enthusiasm to step out and actually vote. History has shown that voter turnout has fluctuated dramatically in Jammu and Kashmir's assembly elections as well.
You are right in what you said, and that is expected given the political context of the election. And I think what's important is to understand the winds of change that you are possibly seeing in Jammu and Kashmir. In the chill of an emerging winter, you have the warmth and energy of an enthusiastic electoral participation. And this by itself, I think, is a positive sign. Of course, the momentum will have to be sustained and retained. People have come out to vote with enthusiasm. People would express their views through their vote. And then the expectation would be that once the election is over, once the results are out, once the government is formed, the expectations of the people would then have to be fulfilled. And that for me would be the real challenge. Enthusiasm of the voter, very, very, very visibly there. But will this enthusiasm translate itself into action on the ground? Will this enthusiasm translate itself into the fulfillment of the aspirations of the people? Because if that were not to happen, we could see experiences of the past again surfacing. So I think that is critical. Conducting an election successfully is one thing. Expressing the people's mandate is another thing. Taking that logically forward through actions, I think, is the third and most important thing that people will be looking forward to.
Gentlemen, we have a reaction lined up for our viewers from Omar Abdullah. Let's just listen in to what Mr. Abdullah had to say.
हम तो ये उम्मीद करेंगे कि जो नेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस कांग्रेस का गठबंधन है, जिसमें सीपीएम का भी एक उम्मीदवार मिलके हमारे साथ इलेक्शन लड़ रहा है, वोट जो हैं हमारे उम्मीदवार को पड़ेंगे, लेकिन फ़ैसला तो वोटरों ने करना है। हमने अपनी तरफ से कोशिश की कि जो जम्मू कश्मीर को लेके आगे 5 साल के लिए हमारा एजेंडा है उसको हम लोगों तक पहुंचाएं, वोटरों तक पहुंचाएं, और जहां तक हो सके हमने किया है। बाकी देखें क्या होता है। अब इन चुनावों की अहमियत तो मतलब जितनी उस पर बात करें कम है। पहले तो जैसे आपने कहा 10 साल के बाद, उसके बाद ये मतलब 10 साल तो चलिए बीत गए, लेकिन इन 10 साल के अरसे में बहुत कुछ बदला। जम्मू कश्मीर के 2 हिस्से हुए, लद्दाख हमसे अलग किया गया, यूटी का दर्जा हमें दिया गया, इस बात के बावजूद कि हमें समझ नहीं आता उसका फ़ायदा क्या मिला हमें। 5 अगस्त 2019 जो जम्मू के साथ हुआ, जम्मू कश्मीर के साथ, वो हम भूले नहीं। तो हर लिहाज से देखें तो ये चुनाव अपने आप में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है।
Right, that's the latest reaction we have from Mr. Abdullah lined up for our viewers. But Mr. Chaudhry, some are arguing that this Jammu and Kashmir Assembly election is reminiscent of the 1977 elections. Do you agree?
Well, 1977 election was, in a way, a very important election when, that's considered in the electoral history of Jammu and Kashmir a first free and fair election. But there wasn't the kind of political transition, that the kind of transition we are seeing at this moment. There has been a political environment before 2019 when the constitutional changes were carried out. And then there is another political environment after 2019.
Right.
The kind of competition in this election is the political forces before 2019 and after 2019. So I think the kind of enthusiasm, the one thing that people of Jammu and Kashmir want to see is that once they cast vote, they should see the restoration of the state. In 1977, that was a kind of, validity for the Kashmir agreement that Sheikh Abdullah had done with Indira Gandhi. He had given up the struggle that he had carried out for 22 years. So that was the kind of an acknowledgement, a validity for that thing. So in 2024, the BJP would like to see this as a validity for its action in 2019. But at the same time, the regional parties would call out the voters to express their views against the actions of 2019. So let the verdict come out and see how people react to these changes over the last 5 years.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Mr. Chaudhry, for making time for us and joining us on NDTV.